We're going to create a budget using a spreadsheet application called Excel through Office 365. To begin, you need to go to Office 365, click on the Excel application on the left. From there, you will click New Blank Workbook. The first thing that you should do whenever you create a new file is rename that file so that you can easily locate it in the future. In order to rename an Excel workbook, you need to click in the top left corner where it says Book. In this case, we're going to rename this file Budget, that's with a capital B, and then Enter to rename it. A spreadsheet is an electronic ledger that is divided into alphabetic columns and numeric rows. Spreadsheets are used to organize, calculate, graph, and analyze data. In a spreadsheet, columns are vertical groups of cells. The shaded area at the top of each column is called a column heading. Column headings are labeled alphabetically. When you click on a column heading, the entire column is selected. If I click on column heading A, then press and hold the Shift key down on my keyboard and click on column heading D, all the columns between A and D are selected. If I were to just click on column A, then press and hold the Control key down on my keyboard, and then click column D, only columns A and column D are selected. Rows are horizontal groups of cells. The shaded area to the left of each row is called a row heading. Row headings are labeled numerically. Just like with column headings, when I click on a row heading, the entire row is selected. If I were to press and hold the Shift key down and click on row 1 and row 5, it selects the entire range of rows from 1 to 5. If I were to click on row 1 and press and hold my Control key down, then click on row 5, it only selects rows 1 and 5. Each cell in a spreadsheet has a name. This is called the cell reference, cell address, or cell name. A cell is the intersection between a column and a row. The cell name, cell address, or cell reference is created by stating the column letter followed by the row number. Notice in the name box it says A1, so the active cell, which is the cell that is selected, in this case A1, is always going to appear in this name box, which is also the cell address or cell reference. If a cell is located at the intersection of column B and row 4, that cell address or cell reference is B4. If a cell is located at the intersection of column D and row 6, that cell address is D6. There are two ways to add data into a spreadsheet. One is to select the cell, make it the active cell, and then begin typing the information, or to type the information in the formula bar. The formula bar is right next to this FX. In this case, we're going to type in cell A1, my with a capital M, and budget with a capital B. Then we're going to enter. When I enter from cell A1, it automatically goes down the column, cell A2. Now cell A2 is the active cell. If I want to move to cell B2, I would press the Tab key on the keyboard. You can also, of course, use your mouse to click on various cells to make them the active cell. I'm going to click and select cell A1. In order to change the font within a cell, you don't select the words like you would in Word or PowerPoint. In this case, you just select the cell. We're going to change the cell font to Arial Black, size 20. We can also add fill or color to a cell. We do this by clicking the fill command on the ribbon. In our case, we're going to click the drop-down arrow next to the fill command. When you select a fill color for your cell, you always want to choose a color that is in contrast to your text. So because we have a dark text, you need to choose a light fill color. Now, if you change your mind and do not want a fill color, you would click the drop-down arrow next to the fill command and then choose no fill. We do want a fill in cell A1, so we're going to click on the drop-down arrow next to the fill command and choose a light color from one of these. Doesn't matter what color you choose as long as it's light enough that you can still see your very dark text. Now, you'll notice that the text in cell A1 goes over column A into columns B and C. There are two ways you can resize your text. When you move your mouse over between the column headings, in this case we're moving our mouse between the column heading A and column heading B, it'll become a double-sided arrow. Then you can double click and the columns will automatically resize to fit the text that you have within the cell or columns. You can also click and drag to resize columns. You do not have to double click. It's just a convenient way when you need it to be the exact size or width of your text. Now, we're going to add a border to some cells to make them easier to read. If you click on cell A3, press and hold your Shift key down, then click on cell B10. From the home ribbon, in the font group, you will click the drop-down arrow next to borders and then click all borders. In the future, when we add text, this will make all of our text much easier to read. Workbooks can contain multiple worksheets. To make it easier to identify your worksheets, you need to rename them. In this case, sheet 1 is the only sheet we have, but we might be adding to them in the future, so we're still going to rename them. You will right-click on top of the sheet name, in this case sheet 1. With a Chromebook, you will right-click by using 2 fingers on the trackpad. Then you will click Rename, then you type Budget with a capital B, and click OK. We are done with the assignment for now. We will be opening this back up later to continue working on it.